Tonight on SCTV3, see how college kids across the country have dealt with historic snowfall.
Plus, an interview with longtime college archivist Jeff Monceau and his favorite historical pieces.
All that and more tonight on SCTV3.
Hello and welcome to the first SCTV3 live news broadcast of the spring semester. I'm Dante Iafrate.
And I'm Shane Baran. Thank you for joining us.
We begin tonight with the impact of the recent record snowfall in the U.S. Numerous places in the South, like New Orleans and Mobile, Alabama, received the most amount of snow in over 100 years last week.
While snowfall is nothing new in Massachusetts, students on other college campuses around the nation had to deal with the snow. I spoke with some of those students about how their schools dealt with the unusual weather conditions. Last week, as the snowstorm swept across the country, it left its mark on Springfield College. But for this time of year, that's typical. However, as the storms headed down the East Coast, it left other schools in the country looking a lot different than usual, with palm tree-lined streets covered in snow. And while Springfield College felt almost no impact, some schools in the South were forced to keep students home and hold virtual classes.
The school ended up closing campus the night that it was snowing, and then pretty much for the rest of the week we had a giant snow week.
Well, they canceled classes for 3 days, and you couldn't really drive anywhere because the roads were really slick and icy, and the sidewalks were also pretty slick and icy, so it was hard to navigate around campus.
Sawyer Brown, a senior at Savannah College of Art and Design in Georgia, and Sarah Lavoie, a sophomore at UNC Wilmington, shared how their campuses could have handled the snow in better ways.
One thing that they really don't tell you about down here is that there really is no plowing infrastructure at all.
I think they could take better steps to prepare for situations like this, but also Wilmington hasn't seen snow in 7 years, so...
Here at Springfield, the facilities team was prepping for the storm prior to move-in day, but at schools in the South, students made the most of their snowy start to the semester.
People were running outside when it started snowing. They were jumping up and down. They were so excited. A lot of people here haven't seen snow before, especially if they come from like South America and other places. It really was pretty magical.
Thankfully, our facility team here on campus does an outstanding job keeping things safe for students and staff. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Shane Baran. The National Weather Service called the winter storms that hit the South a, quote, rare and historical event.
The start of February marks the annual celebration of Black History Month, and Springfield has put together events stretching the entire course of the month. It kicks off with an Afro Dance Night workshop, showcasing different styles and techniques of popular African American dances. It is held on February 6th in the Wellness Center. A diversity mixer is being held on February 11th, which gives students a chance to meet new community members. The Legacy Ball on February 15th is a black tie event with the theme An Enchanted Forest. Towards the end of the month, a Black History Trivia Show will be held in the Campus Union with many prizes up for grabs. Finally, Graduate Assistant Thomas Donato will hold a conversation about anti-racism on February 27th. Every event will be hosted by Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and the full schedule can be found on the Springfield College website.
Last night, students enjoyed some delicious treats at CAB's Nug Night event. Held in the Union Cafe, students had the opportunity to pick between McDonald's nuggets, Wendy's nuggets, and Buffalo Wild Wings. The event proved to be a hit as students stood in line that went out of the doors. Those in attendance also had the chance to design and keep their own birdhouse. CAB member Sierra Boley was in charge of collecting raffle tickets for a dinosaur chicken nugget stuffed animal. Bally shared her thoughts on how the event was a good way to kick off the new semester.
I think it's going pretty good. There's a very long line. It's kind of out the door right now, so it's going good. I'm very excited. I'm hosting our little raffle over here where we got some good prizes, so I'm pretty excited about that.
And to be on the lookout for more CAB events, follow at SC Pride Cab on Instagram.
To kick off the new semester's William Simpson Fine Arts Series, the What Remains collaborative art exhibition opened earlier this afternoon. The display features a combination of creative sculpture art made by Scott Zimmer and colorful ceramic pieces created by Bree Maxwell. Zimmer and Maxwell are longtime friends, but this is the first exhibition they have worked on together. The primary theme of the display is to zero in on a specific moment in time and observe all the changes that have occurred since then. While the featured pieces come in many sizes, shapes, and styles, they were all colorful and stick out to anyone who visits the gallery. To anyone interested in seeing the display can stop by the William Blizzard Gallery located on the second floor of Blake Hall.
In January, and especially in the winter months, there can be a natural decline in blood donations. The holiday season, bad weather, and travel reduce the amount of people that are willing to give blood. The month is used to mainly raise awareness to some about the resources available to those who wish to donate. In the Springfield area alone, there are many places that residents can go to help save lives. At BioLife Plasma Services, they offer plasma donation opportunities that help and are used in life-saving therapies. Springfield Red Cross Blood and Plasma Donation Center offer whole blood and pellet donation opportunities. Lastly, Bay State Medical Center accepts red blood cell donations. All locations offer schedule appointments, with the Red Cross also accepting limited walk-ins.
With such a diverse population, Springfield College is always making sure that proper religious resources are available to its student body. Whether that be weekly services in the chapel or meetings with student organizations, SCTV3's Patrick Fergus talked to the head of the Office of Spiritual Life, David McMahon, and others about the presence and importance of religion on campus.
A multitude of different religions make up the diverse student body here at Springfield College. The Office of Spiritual Life actively supports those who express their faith and encourages interfaith education. The director of the office, David McMahon, has seen religious practices change over his nearly 20 years at the college.
Engagement in the sort of more traditional Christian practices maybe is diminished a little bit. What is very clear is our student body is diversifying. Part and parcel of being a well-educated person is being comfortable with or familiar with other traditions other than your own.
The recent celebration of Diwali, or the Hindu Festival of Lights on East Campus, illustrates the organized events that the office puts together to help students pursue their faith. Others include a recurring midweek Christian gathering called Halftime and the Jummah Prayer, a weekly Islamic tradition on Fridays.
Halftime, Mass on Sunday, and other religious practices are held right here in Marsh Memorial Chapel, the religious centerpiece of the college.
While traditional observances can be found in the chapel, the religious presence on campus is not limited to its hollow walls. Students like Micah Masadaya, a board member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, aims to implement his faith into every aspect of his student life.
It's almost like a Bible study, if you will, and it's depending on the day, certain people will run it.
The fellowship meets weekly on Mondays and has taken trips to local Christian concerts in the past. And Masadaya recognizes how collegiate life can impact one's belief structure.
Faith, it just become more personal. Like it had to be an active decision.
Whether in the chapel or across the community, the spirit facet of the college's adage is alive and well. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Patrick Fergus.
For those interested in learning more about religion on Springfield's campus, the Spiritual Life office can be found on the second floor of the campus union.
We now send it over to Liam Riley in Studio B with our local and national weather forecast. Hey Liam, are we going to be getting any early signs of spring coming up, or is it going to be more cold in the forecast?
Unfortunately, Shane, I think we're going to have to wait a couple weeks. Following a bright and sunny day this afternoon is rain showers scattered throughout tomorrow. Don't worry though, as the sun will return Saturday with a high of 35. If you like the snow as much as I do, then you'll be happy to see that it'll be snowing twice this week on Sunday and Wednesday. Wednesday is expected to be a cloudy day, but will be the warmest day this week at 46 degrees. Ending our forecast are sunny days on Tuesday and Thursday, both in the lower 30s. Now moving on to our national coverage. The California wildfire's destructive path might be finally coming to an end, as one area has already started cleanup. The Palisades fire has been one of the biggest wildfires California has ever faced, spreading across 23,000 acres. Efforts have been made to put out the western Los Angeles fire, with it being 97% contained. This prompted Governor Gavin Newsom to push the Environmental Protection Agency to have the removal of hazard waste done in 60 days. One of their top priorities is cleaning up materials like lithium batteries and solar panels that can release toxic fumes when burned. On Tuesday, Newsom sent a letter to the EPA letting them know that the fire zones need to be cleaned up in 30 days instead of the original commitment to 60.
When we come back, Springfield College archivist Jeff Monceau details his passion for history and some of his favorite materials.
Oh, Vanessa. You gonna text her back?
Nope. I'm high. I'm gonna hit the treadmill.
You're already making good decisions when you're high.
We need to go meet the guys. I'm lit. Can you drive?
Nope. I'm high. How about they come over?
Where?
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour.
In his nearly 16 years at Springfield, Jeff Monceau has been the man behind the museum. Serving as the college archivist, he collects and preserves the school's historic documents and materials. SCTV3's River Mitchell spoke to Monceau about his journey to Springfield and his love for his work.
My name is Jeffrey Monceau. I am the college archivist here at Springfield College. I help teach classes. I help professors and other researchers find information. Now in the reading room is sitting Dr. Marty Dobrow, who is working to complete a book that began many years ago back on research that he did in the Springfield College archives to discover the true story about the Martin Luther King commencement address. I also do outreach and deal with donors and people who want to give materials to the college. So this is my second career. My first career, I didn't really have one, but I was sort of a classicist. I studied Latin and Greek, and the main reason why I became an archivist is because I like everything. I had absolutely no idea Springfield College existed. I lived up in Northampton and Amherst. I'm a graduate of UMass Amherst. It was the perfect fit for myself. And I've made it my goal so that the next person who comes down to take this job will know about Springfield College before they come in to do their interview. So this is a paddleball racket. He was the national paddleball champion, and here he is in the 1960s. USA versus China, women's soccer plans for their game in the national sort of World Cup game in 1999, where our alum, Tony DiCicco, class of 1972, was the head coach. Of course, you cannot get out of Springfield College and Dr. James Naismith to play their basketball. And this is his application to come to the school. We have absolutely every copy of the student newspaper. You can see this is 1910, and that's when they began to do it on their own. It looks more like a magazine, right? And then as time goes on, you know, it becomes more newspaper-like we understand today.
Monceau is always working on new projects and is excited to unveil a new exhibit surrounding Springfield civil rights icon Dan Smith in the future.
Now turning our attention to some of the top national stories from this past week. Last night, an American Airlines jet collided with an Army helicopter near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in Washington, D.C. Both the plane and the helicopter crashed into the Potomac River, killing 67 people. SCTV3's Nick Pantages has more on the ongoing story.
Just before 9 p.m. on Wednesday night, an American Airlines jet traveling from Wichita, Kansas, collided with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. 67 people were killed in the accident, including 60 passengers and 4 flight staff personnel, as well as 3 soldiers on the helicopter. President Donald Trump said in a statement this morning that there were no survivors, and the country felt the losses suffered.
The work has now shifted to a recovery mission. Sadly, there are no survivors. This was a dark and excruciating night in our nation's capital and in our nation's history, and a tragedy of terrible proportions.
According to the FAA, or Federal Aviation Administration, staffing at the tower was, quote, not normal for the time of day and volume of traffic, end quote, and that there was one person doing 2 people's jobs. Just before the collision, the plane was directed to change runways for the landing, and there was nothing out of the ordinary when the collision happened. with last night having been a clear night in the D.C. area. Robert Isom, the CEO of American Airlines, was unsure why the helicopter was in the flight path of the plane.
We don't know why the military aircraft came into the path of the PSA aircraft.
Authorities are currently working to try to identify the remains from the crash, but among the deceased were 6 members of the Skating Club of Boston. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Nick Pantages.
This marks the deadliest American air disaster since November of 2001, when American Airlines Flight 587 crashed into a residential area in Queens, New York, killing 260 people.
Based in Miami, Unrivaled Women's Basketball has set a new standard for women in sports and basketball fans. With the games now underway, SCTV3's Emma Bynes has more on the details of the new league.
In its inaugural season, Unrivaled Women's Basketball has started off hot. The 3-on-3 league averaged 311,000 viewers in its opening weekend, becoming the top-watched women's basketball games in TNT sports history. Backed by superstar investors such as Michael Phelps and Dawn Staley, Unrivaled features 36 of the best players in the WNBA and features a special one-on-one tournament to crown the one best player in women's basketball. Founders Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, both UConn alumni, have made history by owning and participating in the league, which has the highest average salary in women's sports history, around $225,000.
A lot of players, probably my age and a little bit older, are so accustomed to going overseas. You play WNBA, you go overseas. And now it's like, no, you play WNBA, you come to Unrivaled, and we're going to take care of you.
You can expect to see UConn star Paige Beckers next year, as her and USC phenom Juju Watkins have committed to play for the WNBA offseason league. Games can be found on True TV and TNT on Fridays, Saturdays, and Mondays. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Emma Bynes.
In addition to Beckers and Watkins, the league has also signed an NIL deal with LSU star and rapper Flaw J. Johnson. Unrivaled season continues through March, with the one-on-one tournament taking place in February.
Recent data from the CDC shows cases of the stomach bug known as the norovirus are on the rise in the United States. The bug can be passed from person to person in contaminated food or water. SCTV3's Morgan Barboza has more on its spread and how to avoid catching the virus.
If you're feeling under the weather, then you've got company. Flu cases are surging. In data from the week ending in December 28th, cases in New York State jumped 42% from the previous weeks. And rates are high in New Jersey, Connecticut, and 37 other states nationwide.
We haven't seen the level of influenza we're seeing this year since before the pandemic.
And Dr. Daniel Vargas with Hackensack Meridian Health System says it's not just the flu that's hitting hard. There are a total of 4 viruses, and they're calling it the quademic.
Well, you've got COVID, flu, RSV, and now you've got norovirus that's in the mix.
I thought it was a sinus infection. I had no idea.
Pamela got and went to urgent care and found out she had 2 viruses.
The doctor came. She said, I'm shaking my head because you got a double whammy. You have COVID and the flu.
Why the spike now among the contagious virus? It's likely related to holiday gatherings and people being indoors during the colder weather.
I think the next 3 to 4 weeks may be very difficult.
So what to do? The health department advises getting vaccines.
In influenza, we've got vaccines in place that kind of guess on what the most likely strain is going to be that year. It just so happens this year we're lucky the flu vaccine is really, really good this year in terms of preventing it.
In addition, doctors also recommend getting the COVID and RSV vaccines. And to add extra protection, make sure you're washing your hands well.
Wash your hands with soap and water, the old-fashioned way.
For 20 seconds.
You know, I always tell people to say the ABCs or sing happy birthday.
Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Morgan Barboza.
The CDC states that you can also use hand sanitizers, but in cases involving the norovirus, hand sanitizers will not work against it. So it is best that you thoroughly wash your hands. For those who do contract the virus, symptoms typically last between 24 to 48 hours.
After the break, Sam McGilpin hosts the semester's first edition of SCTV3 Sports Extra.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spot on this last one. There it is. He's gone with it. Leo.
a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Welcome to this week's edition of SCTV3 Sports Extra. I'm Sam McGilpin, bringing you the latest news on all things Pride athletics. On Friday and Saturday, the track and field team took first place in the Massasoit Classic. In their second home meet of the indoor season, the Pride reigned on top. The men's team scored 240 points and the women totaled 243.5 points. Success on the track paved the way for the men's team, where they won 6 events. Mike Anderson continued his stellar sophomore campaign by finishing first in the 60-meter hurdles in 8.33 seconds. The women took first in the pole vault, in triple jump, and weight throw. Senior Caitlin Taylor won first in the throwing event for the third straight meet, winning the weight throw with 14.06 meters. The Pride will be taking a trip to Boston University this weekend for the John Thomas Terrier Classic and to Wheaton to compete in the Wheaton Invitational. The Springfield College women's basketball team took on Smith College Wednesday night. Just before tip-off, senior Angie Sharemha was recognized for reaching 1,000 career points in the Pride's win versus Coast Guard last Wednesday. Sharemha was presented a basketball from Springfield College President Mary Beth Cooper and head coach Naomi Graves with their milestone details printed on the basketball. Jumping into the game action, the Pride would fall to nationally ranked Smith College by a score of 71-36. Shooting 43.1% from the floor, Smith maintained momentum and the lead until the final buzzer. The Pride were held to only 29.4% shooting from the floor, with Amanda Leary and Claire Finney leading the Pride with 11 points each. The Pride women's basketball team now has a record of 10-8 and looks to get back in the win column Saturday on the road against Wheaton College. Men's gymnastics placed third in a tri-meet against Army and Michigan. The Pride hosted their first of 3 home meets this season on Saturday afternoon. Michigan placed first with 318.05 points, followed by Army in second with 307.05, and Springfield in last with a 299.55 score. Owen Carney and Blaise Rousseau had the best individual finishes on the day for the Pride, coming in third place in the vault and still rings, respectively. Other highlights of the meet were Massachusetts native and Paris Olympic bronze medalist Frederick Richard competing in his home state as the Michigan standout won the vault and horizontal bar events. Springfield's next meet is this Saturday, February 1st, when they travel to Illinois to take on Greenville in a dual meet. Now it's time for a brand new segment, Sam's starting lineup, where I talk about Springfield sports and the top performances of the prior week.
Hello everyone and welcome to SCTV3's newest weekly segment, Sam's Starting Lineup, where I give you the rundown of the 3 best things that happened in Springfield College sports as well as other Pride sports happenings. This week will feature the best performances from last week. Starting off, we have Amanda Leary from the women's basketball team. Leary has been shooting lights out as of recently, where she's combined for 47 points on 52% from the field in her last 2 games. Leary guided her team to a 2-0 record last week with wins against NUMAC opponents Coast Guard and Wellesley, while grabbing a career-high 13 rebounds against Coast Guard. Leary is a scrappy guard and impressively has the most offensive rebounds on the team. Leary's teammate Angie Chirema made my starting lineup this week after scoring her 1,000th career point in a game against Coast Guard. Take a listen to the broadcast.
Over the top, Chirema gathers and she scores! 1,000 career points for Angie Chirema. And she's mobbed by her teammates. And gets a big hand here from the Springfield faithful who came to see this one.
To finish off my lineup, I have Ben Katz at 3. The junior wrestler went 4-0 in the dual meet with 3 pins to help his team as they placed 6th against other top-ranked teams. That is it for this week's starting lineup. Next week, I will be previewing the top teams to look out for in the spring season. From SCTV3, I am Sam McGilpin.
Tune in next week for another segment of My Starting Lineup. This week, I interviewed women's basketball senior forward Angela Sharemha about the Pride season and a recent career milestone. Welcome to SCTV3, and I'm here joined with Angie Sharemha, the star forward for the women's basketball team here at Springfield College. And Angie, when you first got here to Springfield, did you ever imagine scoring 1,000 career points?
Well, I did shoot high. You know, I had big hopes, so I would like to say that yes, I did, dream about it. I did get 1,000 points in high school, so I really wanted to, keep that going. And obviously being from West Springfield, that's my hometown, right over the bridge. I really wanted to carry that thing over.
And then you have a career high right now in points per game, free throw percentage, field goal percentage, and you're top 50 in the country right now in defensive rebounds per game. How have you built yourself up this year to your final season?
I really focused on being detailed in where I set myself up on rebounds and, reading when there's help defense, when there's not, when to take my shots. So I think my game has elevated a lot in terms of my IQ and being able to know when to take the right shot, when to pass it out and repost, just set myself up better. It's been a long journey, but I'm really proud of how far I've become, especially with my IQ.
And then what are you looking forward to improving on and, finishing off the regular season here?
Well, I want to keep my rebounds up, obviously. I would like to improve my offensive rebounding percentage. We need more possessions. We need better chances to score. So definitely that, and free throw percentage as well. You can always get better on the line.
And then last thing here, what was your favorite memory here at Springfield College?
Ooh. Well, I would say that when we went to the Sweet 16 my freshman year, that really set the standard of what the expectation was of our program, and set the foundation for what our team culture is like, the sisterhood of Posse, and having that be my freshman year, I was very fortunate and very lucky, and it's just really it's been like the foundation of everything that I've been a part of on this campus, and I'm really thankful for everyone I've met and everyone that has helped me get to where I am today.
Thanks, Angie, for joining us. Now to take a look at this week's athletic schedule. Starting off our schedule preview, the swimming and diving team returns home Saturday for the first time since November 23rd to face off against Trinity. Men's basketball faces Wheaton in a rematch from their game in early January, where Springfield won 83-81 in overtime. The next day, women's gymnastics host their first home meet of the year against Ithaca, Rhode Island College, and Ursinus. Wednesday night, women's basketball will be seeking its 40th all-time win against Mount Holyoke. This weekend, some of the track and field team will be competing in the John Terrier Boston Classic at Boston University, while some will be traveling to Wheaton for the Wheaton Invitational. Wrestling takes on Wesleyan after losing to them last week at the NEWA Dual Meets Championship. That same afternoon, men's gymnastics travels to Greenville. Men's volleyball faces off against SUNY Potsdam and Riviere in a doubleheader. Ending a jam-packed Saturday is women's basketball playing Wheaton. On Wednesday, men's basketball has another rematch against Salve Regina. The Pride have a 2-2 record against Salve. To see each team's full schedule, head over to SpringfieldCollegePride.com. Stick around after the break to hear what students are looking forward to this semester.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right, because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
With the return of students to campus for the spring semester, SCTV3's Caleb Knowles talked to the students around campus about what they're looking forward to in the new term.
All students are back on campus. I'm going to go around and ask some students some questions about their upcoming second semester. What are you looking forward to most this semester?
I'm a senior. I'm ready to graduate. I'm looking to grad school.
Hopefully my clinical observations. It's going to be really good.
I'm looking forward to most this semester. A lot of my sport management classes are really interesting, and I'd like to see how else I can step forward in my field.
I think to get more involved with clubs and organizations.
Looking forward to most probably my practicum. I'm doing an internship at Cypress High School for my school grad semesters.
Get a little warmer, definitely. That's a good answer. What's your favorite class that you're taking this semester?
My marketing venues class seems pretty interesting.
What's your favorite class you're taking this semester?
I'm taking this class called Data Analysis for Decision Making, where we learn about business decisions using real-life scenarios, case studies.
Probably my anatomy class with Joe Keel. I love Joe Keel. He's the best.
My favorite class I'm taking is probably the Dynamics of Leadership class I'm in right now.
I'm really excited about music technology.
I'm taking a Civil War class with Ian Delahanty, and I really enjoy it.
Probably grief and bereavement counseling, which is sounds kind of rough, but I really like it. I like being able to help people through really hard times, so I'm really interested in how that class is kind of going to work.
One thing you want to accomplish this semester?
Getting into grad school.
I'd like to have good grades and stay physically active this semester.
One goal, to exercise more. I'm not good at exercising, so I'm trying to go to like the school gym more since I know that it's free and stuff with tuition.
Lots of people have high achieving goals for this semester. I know I do as well. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Caleb Knowles.
That'll do it for this week on SCTV3 Weekly News. Thank you for tuning in. And as a reminder, previous shows and stories can be found on demand on our YouTube channel, SCTV3.
Tune in next week for more news and sports coverage.
Same time,
same place.